Hello, you're watching tulipswift. Today I'm reviewing Nexus by Sasha Osberg and Lindsay Cummings. I'm a huge fan of Zenith, and this was the sequel slash the finale book as me and the three other fans. No, this was supposed to be a longer series. I think Sasha told me 4 or 5 books. This ended up being the last one. I don't know the reasons, but I know both the authors are doing other projects. Anyways, I have 2 book reviews for Zenith, which is definitely too excessive, and I'm sorry. But the first one just wasn't cutting it for me and I needed a second one. I'm gonna give you major spoilers for this one. I feel like no one really read Nexus because people who read Zenith didn't like it. So hey guys, it's me and 3 other people. It was really good. It was really good. And I gave it 5 stars. I teared up a little. It was so sad saying goodbye to these characters that I've only read for a few hundred pages. They feel so much bigger than a duology. I think the first book sets up such a major universe. It's really hard to say goodbye in another, just one more book. But also, with that being said, the way that they wrapped it all up in one last book seemed really difficult, but they ended up doing it really well in my opinion. Really took all the pieces that were already in play. I think it should be a longer series. There's world building and then there's universe building, you know? And they literally made a huge universe. We went to a lot of new places in the second book, but there's just still so much unexplored. It hurts me that we're not gonna get a prequel where Androma is training to become a guardian. Lyra's family and Adhira and Zentera coming back and getting a redemption for all the people that have been suffering. Starting out this with a little bit of the bad news that this was the last book. It wasn't supposed to be. That comes across, but with that being said, it did a good job with what it had to do, is wrap it up for the people who did like it. They left the first book on a cliffhanger. They really did everything with this first book. Took all these risks and put it out there, and then for it to not be received. It's like your favorite show being canceled and they have to wrap it up in the next season. I feel like Zenith took risks because you had all this backstory and the love interest was her ex-boyfriend, and it really started not in the middle of the action, but at the end of the action on this second part of her life. Nexus seemed like a very traditional sequel in a series. There was the mind control, which I have no complaints about, but you know, it draws connections to Divergent, for example. So Dex and Lauren and drama are on the ship. It's hard because there aren't women, and we couldn't give more characterization to Lyra because so much development and time spent on Nor, Darier, Zahn, and Valen, which helped conclude the series. But I'm just saying, it wasn't as female driven. I mean, we have Soyina, who is in and out, and then we have Arachnid, which I'll get to her. She was really great. The atmosphere of the Marauder just gone. The first book was left in this cliffhanger that they were under her control, and the first book had the intention of there being more than 2. So in that series, we would reconnect with her crew and have more adventures in book 3, book 4, book 5. That doesn't happen. We all come back together at the end, and then it's the end. It's really her and Dex doing a rescue mission, which is a great premise for a sequel. Unfortunately, the sequel was also the last book. Was it completely their decision? I'm sure it was not. You know, it takes a lot of time and energy to write a book, and for that book to be just openly hated and clickbait. Half of my subscribers now are from my Zenith review, which I clickbaited. Was Zenith any good? People hated it and they wanted to hate it. I don't know. I didn't really, not that it matters, this is about the book, but I didn't watch Sasha. I knew who she was, but I just read Zenith because the cover was really pretty and everyone was talking about it. That's why I usually read books, and I loved it so much, and she's who people think of. But Lindsay Cummings is a very successful author, you know, has so many more books under her belt, and I haven't read either of them separately, so I can't really say. I don't know, it's just the hate goes to Sasha. And it's her fault that it was hype. I don't know. Maybe their collaboration had to do with like both of their reader and YouTube audiences coming together, and they could start a community that way. And that's where I am, and that's where I found myself. And then it was kind of like pulled from underneath us, you know, when people just absolutely despised it. And I think they not only just didn't enjoy the book or didn't find it like up to their like writing standards, they're so mad that it gets attention because of the internet following they had going into it. But I don't know, I just talked for like a very long time. I should go back to the book. Yeah, so what I was trying to say like about it being a more traditional YA book, it was a rescue mission, which I feel like happens. I feel like the people who like can't live without each other and are like mean everything to each other, they get separated, and then you would do anything for them. That's something that I see in a lot of YA books. Androma definitely has that problem. It's like save the whole galaxy or save her friends, and she goes to save her friends every time. So Arachnid I knew had to be someone we know, because why would there be a secret rebel without an identity? That was a nobody. Like, that's no fun. Like, rule number one. I literally thought, like, when they kept saying like there's a spy on the inside, that's right, Hercules Mulligan, sorry. So I was thinking that she was Zahn, which is like Noor's boyfriend. And by the way, I love Zahn, and I love their entire, like, that's another prequel that I want to read, is Noor growing up without her mother, falling in love with boy in the palace or something who was Zahn, and they were like childhood friends. Like, oh my gosh, they have like this huge like sexual energy like all the time. He's always like, my queen. Anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, so I thought Arachnid, which I don't really like that name, but that's the name of the leader of the Unaffected, which I love the name The Unaffected. Noor's entire mission was kind of for the memory of her mother Clarence, so we kind of got like two birds in one stone, because we brought someone back from the dead, and she also was supposed to be on the other side. So Claren, who I feel like it makes way more sense now why we got so many Claren chapters in the first Zenith book, but she's alive, she's fine, and she's leading the rebellions for her daughter. So she fell in love with Mirabelle. She doesn't want to free Exania. Exania is the other galaxy, and it's full of these darkness creatures who just take over like people as host bodies. Is really like the host, because in the host they are aliens, and then one of them falls, like, realizes humans are beautiful creatures. And anyways, so that's what Claren's mindset is, and then she's leading the rebellion. I loved it. And then Soyina is part of it. I really liked her, and like I said, like playing with all the pieces that they put down in the first book. Soyina does a mission with them in the first one and leaves them for dead. It was kind of hilarious. We ended up crowning her the like queen of Arcadius or whatever, like a little bit excessive. Noor finds out she can't get the weapons, the nuclear weapons from Arcadius without the DNA of the true leader of Arcadius, which is Androma. This seemed like really weird. Like, why couldn't they get around the system, and why couldn't they just kill her? Because if she kills her, isn't she the rightful heir? I guess that's not how politics works. That's just warfare. But anyways, they need our Androma, so they release these videos across the galaxy. It was like sad, and then they like pretended to kill Lyra, and I'm so glad that they didn't actually kill Lyra, because I'm like, we only have 2 books, and the fans of this really like Lyra, and don't kill her. But they didn't, and so I couldn't get mad. Oh my gosh, it was really sad when Zahn died, and then like Valen thought it was his fault. Her uncle like did it, and he like has some mind control, but then her uncle is like the villain, and he takes over. And I think I love that, because Noor had an arc, and she ended up where we needed her to be, but of course we still needed to have an antagonist, and he was there the whole time, and everything just made sense. I mean, this was obviously planned from the beginning. Exania is like so creepy to me, and we never really learn about it. It seems really like sad that they're just letting all these like whatever they are, like beings in Exania, just like stay in the darkness or in the prison world. What they were trying to explain is that like instead of like love and relationships, they just have power there, and they just want power, and that's like the way of Exanians or whatever. It's like Zentarans weren't the bad guys anymore, which I was been saying the whole time if you watched my second Zenith review. Dex and Andy definitely had moments, but I felt like their love went way further than like just romance, or just like, are we together, do I like you, which it kind of was in the first book, but in the first book it was just kind of forgiving each other, or mostly Andy forgiving Dex. This one, it's really about being partners in life and facing the impossible together. They confront the relationship, and then, but it's just like there are more important things at stake. Dex wasn't just her boyfriend, he was part of her family, like her crew, and the fact that Dex not only has this relationship with Andy, Dex and Gilly, Dex and Bracken, Lyra, like they're all part of it together, they're all in it together. He also didn't really have a place in this galaxy, and to find himself like in this group of outcasts, it's really beautiful to see, you know, like how it ended and to get that epilogue. So Aena's the queen of Arcadius or like the galaxy. I'm like, what the fuck? Zenith started like she lost everything, but then Nexus is like, she lost even more. Like, it was very, very sad because I feel like Zenith came from like a broken place for Androma, kind of on this last resort mission. And then to see everything taken away from her in Nexus, like the whole galaxy being in her hands, like it was really hard. And I just want to see like all these characters like be happy or whatever. But I guess that's like the whole point of like a high fantasy YA series, is that everybody's tortured and they lose their lovers or whatever. But I mean, we've only had 2 books and we haven't had like happy times and like all this space exploration. And like when I read the first book, like looking forward to that was part of like the joy and like the hype. Zenith, you know, it was kind of got me out of this book slump, and I didn't know if I really liked booktube or YA, and it all felt so disconnected from me because I felt like I was in college and I was too old for this. I don't know, like I missed my high school friends that would read these books with me. I was kind of on my own again, and then Zenith really brought me back to this community, literally because it's from Sasha and Lindsay, who are so active online. I feel like everybody knows that book, and I felt like I was really part of something until I realized that everyone like really like strongly disliked what brought me so much joy, and that was, you know, obviously really hard for me. I don't go out and watch all these like booktube videos that hate on Zenith. So if you wanted to know, I really do like the series. I'm not making it up. It was so amazing to meet Sasha at BookCon. Oh my goodness, I have pictures, and she tweeted me and she was absolutely incredible. I wish I went to the tour, then I could have met both of them. I'm gonna try to stop talking now. It's been like 30 minutes. Thank you so much for watching. I know I have way too many videos about Zenith. I mean, I only have 3, but it's a 2-book series, so like what the heck. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. Bye!